artists involved in Destroy All Monsters who did the 4 collages down there for circus banners. The artists are Mike Kelly, Jim Shaw, and Kerry Lauren. Like Kelly, I grew up in and around the Detroit area. Sun Ra was just around, if not in body, in personage and influence. I think it was years before I knew that he actually made music. I just knew Sun Ra just was. In that area, he was part of an anti-establishment council of elders, if you will. And one can see that represented in the Destroy All Monsters studies for circus banners that, unfortunately, my friends right now. We got the studies, which are beautiful. In these paintings are also groups such as the MC5, the Stooges, Bob Kennedy, who ran a local movie show, and many other groups, and 60s radicals from the area in Ann Arbor, including John Sinclair. Which leads me to, including my love of analogies, there's a recent oral history of the Yippies March to levitate the Pentagon on October 21st, 1967. And in that book, Sal Gianetta, who was a friend of Abby Hoffman's, is quoted. Quote, Abby Hoffman was adamant that the building was going to raise up 22 feet because somebody just had told him that, except for fire ladders, you can't run and get a ladder that's 22 feet. So 22 feet it was, and he was willing to negotiate. There was serious consideration of that because if the building went up 22 feet, the foundations were going to crack, and there was discussion about foundations, structure loads, and cracks, and how much you could actually levitate a building. It was unbelievable. That meeting was 2.5 hours or so, and probably 20% of that meeting was devoted to the serious talk about levitating the Pentagon. And this is our military, right? I swear to you, the military finally came around. Ab came down from 22 feet to 3 feet. They all agreed to 3 feet and sealed it with a handshake at a press conference. That's how bad Ab was. He could capture you in that fucking bizarreness. It was joyful. End quote. Here it's a good place to discuss a question that I've been receiving a lot since Whitewell's published the Book of the Broadsheets. Several people have come back, interviewers, people that purchased it, other artists, and said, did he believe everything he said? Is this for real? And it took me a while to think of the proper response. It isn't a question of whether or not Sun Ra believed everything he said, but whether or not he meant it. And like the above quote about Abby Hoffman makes clear, Ra's attraction to artists lies in part in making the establishment, at least at those meager moments when the establishment interacted with him, to speak his language. I'll quote from Glenn again before he actually speaks. Quote, why is the Sun Ra thing very attractive to people? It's an idea of the future that is unrealized. And instead of producing some new model for it, people are looking at it and trying to say, dream deferred, we didn't get there. We can still use this model and bring it forward somehow. I find that very attractive, but it's also problematic because it's nostalgic too. End quote. At that point, I might add that maybe that's as it should be, or as it has to be. The dream will always be deferred, and reality will not really match up with yesterday's visions. Maybe we can look back at the dream because it's dead, and it cannot be. We're nostalgic for these dreams because the times have passed and notions of these utopian futures seem passé. Mike Kelly's essay on Falstrom ends with Sun Ra's 1972 poem, The Realm of the Myth. And if it's good enough for Kelly, it seems good enough for me. The poem goes. A myth, among other things, is basically in the category of an idea. The vibration radiation of an idea activates itself, manifested synchronization. A lie, among other things, is basically in the category of a myth. The myth is of images, because the myth, and that which is of the myth, I, the activator of a limited imagination, parallel to a more, synchronized to that which is not. Everything is of a particular science, and myth is no exception. Witness science fiction, and the manifestation of itself to a living what is called reality, or so-called reality. As a science, myth has many dimensions, and many degrees. Tomorrow is said to be a dimension of myth, or even the very realm of myth itself. When it is said that tomorrow never comes, thus when we speak of the future, we speak of a lie, because the future is tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. Next slide. This is another piece by Harry Hammonds, and lest I end on Ra's heavy note, I'll quote from another Hammonds interview. Interviewer asks, you said in an interview with Robert Storr, quote, I think I'm a spirit child. I think think I have an ancient spirit I denied all my life, end quote. What about that? David Hammons. It's from Sonia. I am trying to be so romantic, it's really boring what I'm doing. It's so cliche what I'm doing, and what I'm talking about. Interviewer. I get the feeling that you can say one thing, and in the next minute say the exact opposite with equal conviction. David Hammons. It's like completely bullshit. I try to dazzle you with brilliance and bullshit. What I try to do is talk in confusions, so that when I leave here, nothing was really said, and it all comes back to nothingness.